Hello again guys, you're watching Nino's product reviews, and today we're going to take a look at the Discovery V8. It's a ruggedized mobile phone from a Chinese producer, and I'm going to tell you what this is all about. First, let's start with the hardware. We're talking dual SIM here, so you can insert 2 SIM cards inside, which is pretty sweet. Android 4.4.2 KitKat. The processor is an MT6592M octa-core, 1.4 gigahertz per core. The GPU is a Mali 400. We've got 8 GB of ROM and 512 megabytes of RAM, which isn't very much. 4.5-inch IPS screen, no Gorilla Glass sadly, but it comes with a screen protector. Native resolution is 540 by 960. It offers micro SD card support, which is pretty nice and is actually pretty needed, considering there's barely any space left on the internal memory. The front camera is a 2 megapixel one, the back camera is 5, and it comes with a 2800 milliampere battery, which again doesn't sound like that much, but with this small phone it lasts for a very long time, usually about 2 days if you're using it moderately. Alright, I'm just gonna try to unglue this. Oh wait, the screen protector should be coming off when I do this, but it isn't. Okay, I'm gonna do this off camera. I don't want to waste too much time. Let me open this thing further. What else do we have here? Okay, so this is the battery I mentioned, and it's should be 2800 milliamperes. And this is a thing, you know, when you look at the sales page on Amazon, it says 3800, but when it comes to Chinese phones, one has to always take everything with a grain of salt. If it sounds too good to be true, it usually isn't. They often make mistakes, which is why I'm also testing these things for you to tell you what actually is inside. Here we have the back cover, which is going to be screwed. Now this phone is actually not water resistant, but it is dust and shock resistant, which means that you screw your back cover and everything, there's barely any dust is gonna go in there. So if you're working somewhere where it's very dusty or dirty, or what do I know, maybe this is actually a good alternative for you compared to a normal phone. We have a tiny screwdriver here, which you're gonna be using to screw in those little screws and close up the phone. Let me show them to you. Here they are. And yeah, that's pretty much when it comes to that. Here it is. So let's just imagine we did that, and we have a battery inside, and that's how it would look if it's closed. But we'll see that in a second anyway. Okay, I'm gonna put this away now. I've spent way too much time talking about the back cover. We have the manual here. Let me just check it out. So this is the UK version of the phone, so I expect the manual to be in English, and yes, it is in English. Let me see if the camera can focus so that everyone can see it. There we go, English. And it seems like that's the only language, which I find almost strange. The Chinese usually put Chinese somewhere there, but that's doesn't really matter because most of my viewers are not from China. Alright, so we have headphones here with a built-in microphone. Now that's another thing about Chinese products of this kind. They often come with a lot of accessories, but these accessories sometimes are not of very good quality, and yep, just as I thought, these feel very, very cheap. They feel light and like I could just squeeze it and break it, but and the button also feels kind of cheap. But like I said, it's better to have more than you need. Better to have a cheap headphone than to have none. And quite honestly, if you buy more fancy phones, flagship phones, the headphones that come with them aren't particularly good either. So yeah, probably better than this, but not that much. And here we have some kind of souvenir, I would guess, because the phone itself does not allow for anything to be somehow attached to it. So yeah, that's probably some kind of souvenir. It says Discovery on it. They got that right. And here we have the charging cable, standard fare USB cable, and of course the charging adapter. Alright, let's move on, and I'll show you how to actually assemble the phone as quickly as possible. So I'm gonna demonstrate how to put on the back plate. It's quite simple actually. You're using this, which is supposed to be kind of a screwdriver, and you have these 2 tiny screws which need to be inserted over there. Hold on, I'm just trying to see something. It's pretty funny. Pay attention now. And this is typical for the Chinese. What does it say? It says Soyum built for Lie, and the U is upside down. Now you could say the U is upside down because they want it to be cool, but the life written as Lie explains nothing. And here we have FunTC. Now the company is actually supposed to be FunTC. Here we go. I'm gonna show you. Hold on for the camera to get the right angle. There we go. FunTC. And it doesn't say FunTC just here. It is FunTC. Trust me on that one. So they are a bit weird when it comes to these things. They don't tend to control them very well. They don't seem to also care that much. Other than that, you know, when it comes to the hardware, it's all good. Now if you try to insert these and just screw them like I just tried earlier, you didn't see me, but I did. You'll see there's a little bit of a fatter part on the screw itself, so this doesn't work. What you need to do is you need to first push it through, and I didn't do that at first because I was worried that I might break it. And here you go. And then they can't fall off, and this is actually quite convenient for screwing it. You're gonna insert your SIM cards, your micro SD cards, and like I said, you definitely do need the micro SD card because you don't have a lot of space in this phone. The OS already takes most of it. Then you're gonna close the back plate, and you're just gonna screw it with this tiny thing here. I'm just gonna use my fingers at first because that makes it so much easier. There we go. And just gonna use this screw-like thing to tighten things up. So as with all phones, this one also has a camera. And we're gonna take a look at it. Don't expect miracles. You're not paying for a smartphone flagship, and you're not gonna get one. And obviously they're gonna save on things like the camera because these things are, well, while they are used, they are not the main thing that's gonna drive the whole phone. So as you can see with the back camera, 5 megapixels, it has quite a lot of interesting functions here. Let me show you some. We have anti-flicker here. Hold on. That moment, just a second, it's going crazy here because of the way I was holding it. You have a smile shot, which is actually pretty good. It works very well. It detected my smile, took a picture. Pictures turned out great, so you don't need to press anything as long as you smile. And you have, of course, a self-shooting timer, so that's fine as well. Also, you have a panorama picture, and you can switch to the front camera, 2 megapixels. It will do the job if you want to take a selfie that doesn't need to be very, very bright and very, very good. It will also do the job if you want to use it to Skype with someone or something like that. Alright, let's benchmark this puppy, and as with all non-flagship devices, I'm not going to use a professional benchmark, but just a game. And this is Asphalt 8, so this is a pretty heavy game for any phone because it utilizes high definition graphics, and just, you know, it strains the mobile devices, and most actually from the very cheap ones can't handle it. So I am putting it against this one because, as you can guess, I played a little bit and it's quite playable. It looks actually very good. The screen is a bit small, but if you have fat fingers like me, you're gonna have a hard time. I actually ended up pressing the software buttons over there, which led me to be kicked out of the game. But if you put that aside, the phone itself actually handles the game very well. As you can see here, the Mali 400 is not the best of the Chinese GPUs, but it definitely holds its own. And you can actually play decently, and we're talking serious games. I mean, this is not Fruit Ninja or something like that. This is Asphalt 8. You know, everyone's played it probably, and you can immediately see that we're talking 3D graphics, we're talking fast motion. As you can see, there is no slowdown right now. In some cases you will meet some slowdown, but this is actually fairly rare, and only if you have a lot of stuff happening, like lights, maybe a lot of cars. So it happened very rarely to me with this game, which leads me to say that it's pretty good. Let's move to the next one. So we're gonna move on to the Bard's Tale, game which I personally love. It's an RPG, and I use it to benchmark mobile phones very often because it has also graphics settings, you know, and it really strains the mobile phones. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna first show you guys that that everything performance-wise is set to the maximum possible setting. There you go. We're using the normal preset, where there's a extra high definition preset. Obviously this is too much for that phone, but the normal preset on maximum settings is still quite impressive. And you're gonna see it's going to run very well. Obviously there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of fire spells, etc, etc. There is going to be some slowdown. You're not gonna see that here, but this might happen to you with such games. But still, you can just lower the setting a bit and adjust it to your liking, and you're going to immediately notice the game runs pretty well. But I'll just let you be the judge of that before we move on to the last basically the last segment of this review, where I'm going to tell you whether I like it or not. Earlier I actually tested using 2 SIM cards, and I found no problems with it. The other party could hear me just fine, I could hear them fine. So when it comes to it being an actual mobile phone, it has no problems with that either. All in all, I would have to tell you that this is a pretty decent phone, especially for the money that's being demanded. Now, it's no secret that I'm being quite generous with such items which are cheap. You know, if this was a flagship, I'd be tearing it apart right now, but it's not. It's not a flagship, it isn't supposed to be one. So what ultimately is happening here is that it's a pretty nice phone. It has its weaknesses, but ultimately it will do what you want, and it's gonna do it very well. So if you think that you need a ruggedized phone which should be cheap but yet provide an average to good experience when it comes to a smartphone experience, this is more than sufficient for you. It has 2 SIM cards, it supports a micro SD card, it has a very good battery which will last you about 2 days if you don't overexert it, especially with games. So all in all, I'm quite satisfied with this phone. A weakness that I see here is, however, that it's supposed to be a ruggedized phone, and it does not have Gorilla Glass. But of course, with Gorilla Glass it would have cost probably about twice as much. Still, the way it's built and the fact that you get a screen protector are going to help you keep it safe. Just make sure you don't drop it on a sharp edge rock on the screen. Everything's gonna be fine. Thanks for watching this review, and I hope I'll see you for the next ones. Have a great day. This is Nino signing off.